Most things in the world, of course, are a real complex mix of a lot of genes and a lot of exposures to many different things, and so we're taking all of that information and trying to build a statistical model where we can say, how old are you? Sometimes maybe what is your race, and what exposures have you had? Tobacco, smoke, say, are you going to get asthma? And then we maybe look at, I'm interested in the allergic family, so we know that there are a lot of different allergies in the allergic family, and they may result in slightly different manifestations depending upon the exposure. So I build models, take all of those things into account, and then I try and answer the questions for our families of, what about having a next child? Will my next child have this thing that my first child did that has been so difficult? One of the hot topics these days in environmental health are complex diseases, and what that means to us is that it's many genes are polygenic, so it's not, unlike Huntington's, it's not one thing and it's dominant and you get it. It's a whole combination of low-level genes that all make a contribution, kind of depending on what's turned on and what's turned off at different points. So, and the turning on and turning off is the environmental part.
Okay.
Okay, so, and there are a couple different, one of the ways that happens, you might have heard the word epigenetics lately. That's another hot item. And that a lot of times has to do with how we turn on and off genes. But then there's another layer of exposures on top of that, like say environmental tobacco smoke. So I've got, say, I have a child with asthma. My kid obviously has some low-level genes, probably looking at our family history that may have, a lot of my husband's family has. Some of them have some skin things. One of them took allergy shots for a while. You find slightly different manifestations in different people. And she is very allergic to cats. Well, her backup babysitter had a lot of cats when she was little, so maybe, don't know this for sure, but maybe that cat exposure, or the fact that the backup babysitter, where she was for a couple of months, she was there for a pretty long time because our babysitter had surgery, was also near the expressway. So we're also looking at diesel exposure. Now, we don't smoke, and neither did the babysitter. But that could be another thing that could contribute at an early age. So we've got things that may or may not turn off genes, and then we also have these direct exposures to the lung, like aeroallergens. And all of those combined to give me a kid who at 2 years old had a major asthma attack and landed us in children's ER. I've taken my interest in general in allergic families, and right now I'm working with a specific kind of food allergy called eosinophilic esophagitis. Eosinophilic esophagitis is a fairly new diagnosis, and our first case here at Children's was diagnosed in 1999. And my PI, or principal investigator that I work with, is Dr. Mark Rothenberg, and he was really one of the people who put this disorder on the map and is still at the forefront of doing the genetics work on it, which is so new. We only have we only have 2 genome-wide association studies in it at this point, and some protein expression studies. In other words, there's not too much. It's an exciting disorder because we're kind of at the beginning of it. And the truth is, we don't know exactly. The kids who have this, it probably there's an underlying genetic susceptibility, because in families, the rate in an allergic family, or in a family who's already had one child with it, when you start looking, there's probably another family member with it. So it's higher than the background rate just in the population at large. So that tells us that there's a genetic component. And then one of the other things we look at is we have just been recruiting twins. So you say to yourself, okay, well, if it's 100% genetic, then all monozygotic or identical twins would have the same. They would come out the same, right?
Right.
But that's not quite the case either. So they're not 100% in agreement, if you will, or we call it concordance between twins. And then we know about the percentage of genes that siblings share is about 50%. So then we look at non-identical twins and siblings who actually share the same amount of genetic material, but the non-identical twins share more in terms of identical environment, right? Because they were actually in utero together, they've grown up at precisely the same time, mom probably and dad fed them the same things for dinner every night, so they're even more the same in terms of environment than just two siblings. And two siblings are more the same in environment than the kid down the street. We find in eosinophilic esophagitis is that the rate in families is higher than the background rate, so there is a genetic component, but that our twins are not in complete agreement, and even our siblings and non-identical twins aren't different to the same degree that we expected, and so we think there's a big environmental component as well. When we use the term environment, we really mean things from chemicals that attach, or functional groups in chemistry that attach to your DNA and cause it to open and shut. We mean environmental tobacco smoke. We mean the usual things most people think of as environment. We mean the pesticides and chemicals on your food. We mean the food itself. So our patients we know that they do better if we put them on this like dreadful liquid, all it is amino acids diet, but it gets rid of everything else in their diet. Their symptoms usually go